What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. It's just me tonight, but I do have very special guest, Bryan Sanders. I'm sure everybody recognizes him. I think it's his third or fourth time he's been on here. I'm excited to talk to Bryan. He's been in the food service industry now for about 8 months. We're going to catch up on what he thinks of it, what he likes, what he dislikes, and that kind of stuff. But first, you know what makes a tough job easier? Using products that actually work and are safe for you too. That's what Viper's all about. Their coil cleaners are non-corrosive, non-toxic, and easy on equipment and the techs who use them. So thanks, Viper, for taking care of us and bringing the show to everybody out there. So, Bryan, what is up, man? How have you been?
I've been pretty good, man. Staying busy throughout the winter, man. Not really had a slowdown at all. None
Yeah,
whatsoever.
that's what the kitchen world is, man. It's pretty busy. You can, unless something wild's going on, you can pretty much always get your 40.
Yeah, I've not had a problem with that at all.
Yeah, I'll work the hours I want to work. If I want to work 40, I'll work 40. If I want to work 80, I'll work 80. It's just there, pretty much for us. I'm not sure about your market, but everybody's market is different. But it's pretty much you can get your hours if you want to look for them. Some guys don't want to look for them; and they just want to take the easy way home. And hey, to each his own. But I like money.
Yeah, yeah. There's times where I'm like, man, I just want to get off at a decent hour, and then there's times where I'm like, I'm in it, so let's get it done. Let's get caught up. You know.
I was home by 4:30 today and still had 10 hours in, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I was home at 4, and I started, I think, at 7:30 this morning, and But this was the first day in the last week and a half that I'd been home at a decent hour, because we had a big install last week. Had to pretty much redo everything on a walk-in freezer except for the box. Long line set run, like 60-foot line set run. Um, Redid the wiring, like 65 feet, a 3/4 inch, liquid tight. Pull four 12 gauge wires, two 10 gauge wires through that, get it looking good, and got it done. It's back up and it's running -5 where they want it. So that's always a plus, but I'm still recovering from that.
That's a lot of work. Did you have a helper, or just you by yourself, or how to go down?
No, we had helpers there, but see, we started it on Wednesday. I went and stopped by the rental place and got the lift, took it up there to the restaurant. I was there for, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. I was there long enough that um, we'd already recovered the refrigerant, I think the week before that. That's when I went up there. So it was empty, and went and got the evaporator out, got it out of the box and everything, and got everything done with the lift, and then went and turned it back in, then ran 3 calls. Got done at 4 and called Jared, one of the owners, and see if they were still up there, and they were. And we were up there till 11:30 that night, until it got dark. And then we come back the next day, ran
You're
the,
past dark at 11:30, bud.
what is it?
You're way past dark at 11:30.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we weren't there. I'm sorry. I got home at 11:30. It was about a half hour away. So we left at 11, but it's still way past dark. You're right. And then went back and got everything buttoned up uh, on that Thursday. Then I just went back Friday to do a follow up, check superheat and all that stuff, and then I had to run the drain line heater. Got
No,
that lined out. It
no,
looks good. It's clean. I'm happy with it. So,
we got a ghost.
oh,
How bad is the lighting?
It's dark, but you're all right. You'll be fine.
Cool. Just got home.
Nice. You got to make that money somehow. You hire a guy and you only work twice as much now. So
That's basically what happened. My son told me today that I was being celebrity CEO because I had like 50 million, phone calls and text messages I had to handle while we're trying to finish an install and start up on some ice machines and a walk-in. So yeah.
That's what Brian's talking about. He said he did a walk-in last week and walk-in freezer, full line sets, 60 feet of line sets, new electrical, everything.
Yeah.
He just run through that. Now that was it an open restaurant or was it closed, Brian?
No, it was open. It was open. They had an old, and I mean old, it's older than my 17-year-old son, RDI freezer, semi-hermetic. Lived an extremely, extremely rough life. That was the one I posted pictures of on Instagram. Locked rotor amps rated 112, and it was pulling 111.
Dang.
Yeah.
Almost there. Almost there.
Yeah. I signed the death certificate for it. Told them the bad news, and then we had to wait for the equipment to get in. They got a freezer truck, so she was happy that she didn't have to go out to the freezer truck anymore.
Yeah, we've done some walk-ins here lately, and they've had a cooler trucks brought in because they wanted certain equipment. We had to bring it in. I can get equipment for about anything, but when they start ordering low profile on certain stuff, we just gotta wait.
Yeah.
They brought in refrigerated trucks, and they were complaining they had to go in and out. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, I can get you a not low profile coil. It drives me nuts because this place has 11-foot tall walk-ins,
Dang.
and they use low profile coils. I'm like, this is like
That's pointless.
Like, you don't need a low profile coil, man. You're 11-foot tall.
That's like wiping your butt before you poop. It don't make any sense.
Dude, it's crazy in there, man. I'm setting up an 8-foot ladder to work on an evaporator. I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, we went with Trenton units, 448A, low profile, 3-fan evap, and then the condenser unit up on top. It's pretty big size. The receiver is I think holds almost 12 pounds.
Dang.
That's a big unit.
Got a lot of and back going, so I'm sure they're happy. Like you said, they don't have to go out to that truck anymore either.
Oh yeah, I had to do a little bit of math because it was, I didn't know the exact charge on it, so I kind of guesstimated and was going eyeballing, checking it out, and got to where I needed to be. The one guy I was working with, he was a little bit newer to refrigeration, and it's got a headmaster on it, so he was like, "Yeah, I think you need to add a little bit more. It's flashing," and I'm like, "No, it's got a headmaster. It's going to flash like that until it settles down. Just breathe. Just breathe. It'll be all right."
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I forget the number of the bulletin, but there's a bulletin out on how to charge it unless it's a micro channel. But I'm terrible. I'll look at the part number on the receiver, and I'll see what it holds, and then I go from there. And then of course the headmaster system, you're going to have more. So either that, or a lot of times I'll reach out to the manufacturer of the actual condenser unit and see what they recommend because I'm not trying to do the math.
But that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah, I had to reach out to a manufacturer. Oh, so my bad. I had to reach out to a manufacturer a few months ago, because it turned out I think it was 2 units we put in and one walk-in. Somebody else built the box. The walk-in, it was basically a cold room, and it was, I think, 24 feet tall. I forget the length and the width, but between both systems, I think I used 48 pounds, or no, I'm lying, almost 70 something pounds of 448 between both systems in there. That one I had to call the manufacturer for. I was like, holy word, we said on that other podcast that I'm not gonna say it tonight.
Yeah, that's why Jason can't play with us anymore. He said that times.
But what seems to work for me for charge on regular walk-ins, and a guy that I used to work with taught me this. When the receiver tells you the capacity in liters, he said multiply that by 2.2. That gives you the poundage, and then do like 80 to 90% of that number, and you'll be spot on every time. And so far, that's what's worked for me without an issue with the headmasters and whatnot.
Yeah, I've always tried to convert it, and I can't do it.
Manufacturer said 19.2 pounds, and I had it right at 19 pounds. That kind of cheated too. Once I knew I was really, really, really close, then I pumped the system down and took a torch and my thermal imager, and I saw I was right, really close to that 80% mark on it. So, and then I called the manufacturer, and they told me I was right, so I was happy about that.
You pulled the old Chris Stevens, huh?
I did learn that from him. Yeah.
I
got that thermal imager, man, and I'm not going to use my hands when I can just put a little heat to it and use that thermal imager and just point it right there. It shows me.
Fancy.
I haven't broke down and bought one yet. I always say I'm going to, and just haven't done it yet. I thought about getting, because I think Klein has one you can just like plug into your phone, but I think all your phone cases like bump it out too far, and you have a little adapter, and who knows? I'll end up getting one. I just haven't made up my mind, or I'll wait till I actually need, and I'll get one use out of it and never use it again. My luck.
I thought the same thing. I bought one of the Hick Micros from TrueTech.
Dang, throwing out the big names.
Well, I wanted a good one because I'd used the cheaper brand ones that plug into your phone, and I just did not like the way they were, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get a standalone one. So I got the Hick Micro, and I use that thing more than I thought I would.
Nice. Yeah, they got all different kinds. They got ones like about the size of a phone, and they've got the different guns and stuff. They're pretty nice. They got some salty ones though. I think they got ones like $3,000. That one's pretty crazy. So.
Mine was like 280, 270, 280. Yeah, something like that.
Nice. Like I said, I'll wait till I get a need and I'll buy it and never use it again. That's the story of my life.
That's how it usually works for me too.
So Stuart says he bought a cheap one from Harbor Freight. I'll have to look and see what they got and play around with that. Mainly, I'd probably just use it for that situation, charging units, or maybe if I'm looking for a hotspot on like a disconnect or inside a unit, a short or something. You can scan across contactors and you can see if you got one that looks a little sketchy. You can see if you got a certain pole pulling a little higher heat or more amperage or loose connection or something like that. But that'd probably be about the most I'd use it for.
That's what I use it for. I'll use it on fryers too. If I'm looking at the heat of the oil, I'll use that. But I always got the thermostat with me too. I can just stick in there and check it that way.
Is it pretty close with the fryers? So I know like the infrared, like they're trash on the fryer oil. Like especially the oil's clean. Like you can't trust them. But
well, the key to that, and the one I have, you can change the emissivity. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Shout out to my friend Luis Keller from UEI. She taught me that word a couple weeks ago at He just really tells good stories now. But she taught me that. She explained it all to me and broke it down. I was like, oh, I learned something. So yes, emissivity is what it is. You were correct the first time.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Well, different materials are going to have different reflective properties. Some, depending on the material, like wood will absorb heat more than, say, metal would. And so a lot of these you'll have settings to where you can go in and change those so that you get a more accurate reading.
Okay.
Yeah. So emissivity is a measure ranging from 0 to 1 of a surface's ability to emit thermal radiation compared to a perfect emitter or a black body at the same temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the thing about those, like the point and shoot ones, like what you're measuring changes by the distance you're away from it. So if you're right on it, you may be measuring the size of a dime or a quarter, but if you're like 20 feet away, you may be measuring like 2 or 3 foot of an area. So that's something else you got to take into consideration is the distance from your point you're beaming.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I chose this. I chose this one because I can go into the settings and you can change the emissivity. Yeah, what you just said. And you can also change the distance of which you're measuring. like that kettle I was telling you about, I was measuring the temperature of the water compared to I've got a UEI dual temperature data logger.
Mm-hmm.
I was comparing that to that. I was holding it about 6 foot away, so I went in and changed it to water and 6 foot away, and it was within 2 degrees of the UEI, and that UEI is dead on.
Nice. So I know the UEI, you can actually like it shows it has like a laser emitter that shows like the area you're measuring, and like you can change that too. So UEI was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Not like we're pumping out a UEI commercial here, but she taught me some things, so I figured I'd give her a shout out and talk about their stuff a little bit. But yeah, I used to have Jack in the Box when they came to Indianapolis. They gave every manager, you think they'd give them like an immersion probe, but they gave them all just the infrared.
Not lasers. Not lasers. Lasers they gave them?
Oh, they all had lasers, and like I'd get a call every weekend. Our fryer is like 280 degrees. I'm like, you just changed the oil? They go, yeah. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, it's not cooking right. And I get up there and stick my probe in there and be like, dead nuts, perfect. I'm like, did you use your laser? Well, yeah, that's what they said to use. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I had a headache sandwich prep cooler years ago. God, I think I changed the compressor on it. Left, it was running perfect. They called the next morning, everything's temping high. I'm like, that's not possible, but we go over there and I check all the temperatures on all the product. Everything's perfect. I think like 3 days in a row, we got first thing in the morning, everything is temping high call. I'm like, that literally makes the least amount of sense. Y'all were closed all night. There's no way everything is high first thing in the morning and then at temp when you're busy. It was a breakfast place. So I go in like the next morning, first thing, and they're using the laser thermometer, but they have saran wrap over all the pans on the top of the thing. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works. They thought the laser would shoot through the saran wrap and touch the surface of the food and read the temperature.
There's manuals for all these things out there, and no one reads any of them.
Nope.
RTFM, read the fantastic manual.
You got to just try to educate them the best you can. And the bad thing is most of the people don't believe you. They think you're an idiot. You just fix stuff. Well, you just cook stuff is what I always want to say when they say that.
Yeah, I like that. I've never been told you just fix stuff, but if it ever comes up, I'm going to say, well, you just cook stuff.
Dude, you can get away with it. They'll call on me and I'll be in trouble. I'll have to explain it to HR.
Oh, man.
It'll
be funny when they call the office and I answer.
Call this number right here, then you answer, hello, Rich. With
on the say, hold on, I'll get the manager. Hey, how you doing? I'm the manager.
You mean transfer you to the owner? I can transfer you to the owner too.
Yeah. I'm in tight with him.
That's funny. Till your wife answers the phone one day, and then you gotta explain to her. It is what it is. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you've been in the kitchen world about 8 months now.
Been 8 months already? Dang,
it's wild. You've probably seen all kinds of stuff in 8 months. So what? I know we asked you when you first started what some of your favorite stuff was. What's some of your favorite stuff to work on now that you've actually spent some time and seen some different stuff? What do you like to work on right now?
I'm still really dig the Mary Chefs, Turbo Chefs.
You're a sick man. You are a sick individual.
I know. I still like those. Of course, any of their refrigeration stuff. I wouldn't say me and Friars are best friends, but we've come to an understanding.
They're necessary.
Which brand? Which brand are you?
Me, Henny Penny.
Right.
Henny Penny. I like Frymaster stuff too, and none of it's junk. I'm not calling any of it junk. Just my own personal preference. And I guess maybe it's that these customers get sold on equipment that they don't really need. Like our biggest customer, they had sold them on Frymasters that had AIFs and ATO probes and all that stuff. They weren't using any of it.
They just turned it all off and just ignored it all.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, why did I I told the manager, I said, I don't understand why they got you guys these. You don't use half of what's there that it can do. They got new fryers January, yeah. And they went to Fry Masters, but it's the bottom of the line. Like it has everything's manual on it. Like the whole drain system, the only thing electrical on the drain system is the little micro switch that tells it when the valve's closed or open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I did have a call on it. They were running a single vat and a dual vat before, and they got 2 dual vats, and each vat has to have its own plug-in. Well, they called one day saying that it wasn't filtering, and come to find out, it's because they had the right side of the dual vat plugged in, but not the left side. The left side's where all the power comes in. So yeah, they were able to drain it to the pan, but the filter wasn't going to run. So yeah, I was like, hold on, I got this. I unplugged the right side, plugged the left side back in, moved the oil back in the right hand side. I said, no, until you guys get the second outlet put in, you need to leave the left side plugged in. You can filter it all you want.
That's why. I don't know why some manufacturers do that. One fryer had one power source. I mean, electric, I get it because there's a ton of power, but for a gas unit, I mean, was it gas or electric?
No, this was electric.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
But generally, it shares it. Like controls, generally normally it's like one control power will feed all the fryers, and then like it'll be each individual power for like the contactors and the elements and stuff.
But I've gotten pretty familiar with Henny Pennies. I don't mind the Henny Penny pressure fryers. The PXE 100s, they're not bad.
Do you do Chick-fil-A work?
We're starting to pick them up. Most of it's ASA work for Garland, and the one Chick-fil-A we do their refrigeration work too.
So Chick-fil-A, man, in my area, they're coming out with these monster Henny Penny pressure fryers. They're huge, and like the excuse me, the racks are so big. They have this gantry system now that Prince Castle or AJ Tunes has made, and it hooks to the hood, and it's got a chain, and it's on a motor, and it's on a track that slides back and forth across the front of the hood. And it's got a motor, and it actually lowers down. And they clip the baskets, and they hit this button, and it pulls it out. It's like a freaking chain hoist. And it's freaking sick, but these fryers are huge, dude. They are pumping out massive amounts of chicken.
I was like, how much volume are those stores doing? Like,
I
I know
don't
Chick-fil-A's here do a crap ton, but like, dang, that's insane.
This Chick-fil-A has another Chick-fil-A 3 miles down the road. That's the closest to I've ever seen in my life. It's 3 miles, and it's literally.
That's common here. I never seen that until I moved here where we're at in the Greenville area. They got Chick-fil-A's freaking everywhere. It's psychotic.
I got to work on it tomorrow, so I'm gonna make some videos
again
of that gantry system. I got to put a switch in it, so hopefully I get it fixed tomorrow. I'm gonna make some videos on it, but it's pretty cool. It's just got like a little motor and a chain hoist. It's got some switches in there, and you home it and everything, and it picks the baskets right up. You still gotta use the like the arm on the basket to kind of like steer it, but it picks it right up out of the oil and everything. It's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kitchen Cowboy says they were a test market for. We were too. This is one of the original ones, and they're trying to get me to piece it back together until they get the new ones rolled out, and then they're going to switch it out. But it's pretty cool. I'll play it out for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say Henny Penny's my favorite.
I cut teeth on Henny Penny pressure fryers, man, at gas stations.
They're easy. There's not a ton of stuff to go wrong with them. But yeah, they get a lot of abuse, that's for sure.
Yeah, they take a beating.
They're bulletproof until they leak out into the insulation, and then you're like, you open that cover, and you're like, this is gonna suck.
Mm-hmm. they're changing out a filter pump on one of them that's never been changed out, and it's been leaking, and the oils went from being solid to jelly glue or whatever you call it. Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, since they went to that trans fat free oil, that stuff is the nastiest stuff in the world. Before they went to trans fat free, you could like wipe it off and clean it off, and this stuff like it's tar. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen a Chick-fil-A food truck?
Yep. I think there's like 2 or 3 in my market.
Those things are wild. Have you seen it up close personal, like someone working on them or anything?
Yeah, I worked on I think 2 of them, 1 or 2 of them.
The one I seen had Frymaster fryers, open fryers for like the French fries and stuff, but it had a henny penny in the back. And there was a guy there working on changing a filter pump, and this thing had doors on the outside that opened up, and he could just reach right in and change the filter pump from outside the food truck.
Yeah, no, I didn't see all that. I worked on the fryer, which was a Frymaster fryer, like you said, and then I had to work on one of the refrigeration units. But the only issue that it really had, I think, was it was really poorly designed, and it couldn't handle the heat, the ambient heat and whatnot. It wasn't able to reject the heat off the condenser because it was hot as freaking hell out there.
Yeah, this was wild, dude. He's like, I was working on the Frymaster under warranty. He was working on henny penny. He worked for Chick-fil-A. He's like, oh, I got a bad filter pump. I was like, oh, that's gonna suck. He's like, oh no, it's not. He's like, watch this. He had that thing out in like 10 minutes. I was like, holy smokes. He's standing up on the outside and just flips these doors open and just reaches right in and pulls it right out. I was like, that is the
That's
coolest
cool.
thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Wish they were all like that.
I don't do henny penny work, so it can be however it wants. The only thing I wish Chick-fil-A would do is in the back of the restaurant, because every time I go to work on the grill, they want you to work on it in the back. I wish they'd have a plug back there because all their plugs are the same for their fryers or their grills. Just have like a plug in the back so you just like plug it in, test it back there. Like that'd be the perfect thing to do.
I used to say the same thing when I was in Chick-fil-A's all the time, was that exact thing. Like, I got to pull this grill to the back to work on it. Although some of them would be cool and they let me work on the cook line as long as it wasn't lunchtime. But yeah, when you had to pull it to the back, it's like, why don't y'all have a plug back here? I'm gonna have to roll it back here, do what I think I got to do, roll it back up front, retest it, and hope to God I don't have to roll it to the back again.
Chick-fil-A's are a wild place, man. Some are like the cleanest place on earth. It just depends on the owner operator. Some are like, how have they not taken this restaurant from you?
Yeah, that's for real.
Yeah, we got those Garland grill campaigns going on right now. So going through checking all the actuators. And
did you love the instructions when that first rolled out? They sent you like 2 different instructions for 2 different programs at the same time.
Yeah.
So I got there and I went to like 3 stores and only one of them had the Elowix or whatever it was. And I had the instructions that said if it didn't fall in that serial number, don't change it. So like mine didn't fall in that serial number, so I didn't change it. And like 2 days later, Garland was like, why didn't you change that? I'm like, because the instructions I said if it wasn't that serial number. No, those instructions are for general market. Chick-fil-A, that's not approved. You have to go back and change it. I'm like, well, I didn't have those instructions. So they had to rewrite the instructions because I was like arguing with the guy about it.
Well, I mean, if they don't tell you, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah, they gave me like, it was a nightmare. And they understood. It was cool. I mean, I changed so many of those Chick-fil-A ones. I can do them in like 20 minutes, dude. I've got a program down. As long as I don't cut my fingers off. I did some dumb shit one day. So normally how I do it is I leave it up and I put a pan under it and I'll pull it out and I'll lower it. I'll put it down on that pan. Well, I didn't put a pan on there and I didn't think about it. And generally I'm used to, I just pull the pin out the actuator inside the cross member way and I just grab the actuator and jerk it back and just let it fall on the pan and hit the pan. Well, I didn't have a pan in there. So I had my hand stuck in the grill and I grabbed the actuator and I jerked it out and it came sliding all the way down because there's no pan. And there's a metal cross member, dude, and it cut my fingers like right here, dude. And I just looked and I was like, I don't have fingers anymore. And I looked and I could see them sticking out the other side. And I was like, okay, they're still there. And I pried it up and pulled my fingers out and blood just started spraying all over the place. And it cut them deep. I got scars across them. I don't know how I didn't lose them, dude, because those things are heavy. Those are
the thing I hate working on the most is a globe slicer.
Subway?
Oh.
No, Subway's not Globe. Subway's I forget the brand, but
yeah, this was in a Arby's, and those things, I had to change out the chain guide assembly, and you have to take out 2 clips that are hidden, like literally hidden. I had to search for them for like 45 minutes before I found them. And then they're a pain in the butt to get out, pain in the butt to put together. It's not fun.
Oh no, what happened?
Oh, Rich left.
I
Oh,
hit.
he's back.
I was trying to type.
You kicked me out.
No, I hit the wrong button. I
Oh.
wasn't. I was clicked on you instead of someone else, and I was trying to type. Yeah, devices are a different thing. We got involved with a manufacturing program on some at Subways, and it was like the biggest nightmare. It's like every call was like, oh, the blade gauge or whatever won't line up, and like you get there and it's like it's bent. I'm like, there's only one way to think it's bent. And like, what do you mean? I was like, you dropped it off the counter. No, he didn't. I'm like, how did that bend? I just did it on something. I'm like, no, I'm like, I can see the impact. And you like look around the floor and you see like a chunk out of the floor. I'm like, that's where it hit. Oh no, it didn't do that. I'm like, yeah, it did. See you later.
Hey, I'll be right back. I gotta go see who's at the door.
Go answer the door.
All right, I'll be right back.
So, are you outside enjoying this weather, Rich, or what?
Man, I love this weather. Yeah. Yeah, you saw my video, I'm sure, on the rooftop today. I love being on rooftops. That was our startup on a walk-in and a couple of ice machines for Chipotle. I gotta go do another one tomorrow.
Man, killing it out there. How's the new guy doing?
But he's killing it, and we're still falling behind. He is killing it, though. I mean, on average, he's doing 4 to 5 calls a day, and that's with decent drive time between them. Like probably 30 minutes or more drive time between calls, and he's knocking them out. People love him, but I mean, God, we just can't catch up. I mean, we're managing everything, but just like every time we get caught up, there's more coming in. But I mean, it beats the alternative. I got a couple big accounts that looks like they're going to be onboarding with us, and then I might have a back door into some of the supermarkets here because I just signed up with a company that does rolling ovens.
Mhm.
And for supermarkets, I just signed up to do their installs and their warranty work. And from what they were telling me, they were like, because it's so specialized, usually whoever the ASA is in the area ends up getting, the after warranty work from the supermarkets and whatnot also. So I'm like, I'm all for it. I'm already mapping out hiring my next technician. So
He'll be on the lookout for a van now, another van.
oh yeah, I'm already shopping for one. Yeah, I got pricing and a couple dealerships throwing me, different numbers and this, that, and the other. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta make some more moves.
Nice. That's a good problem to have. Almost out of a year, a couple more weeks and be the official year. So
Yeah, and matter of fact, it's actually pretty cool because April 1st will be a year, and April 1st I'm also doing the first RTU change out since I've been on my own. So I was like, that's pretty cool, I think.
nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You've come a long way in a year, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you grow even more. It's really cool to see you out there excelling and having fun. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
make a difference for your customers, for your family, and for other technicians out there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the customers are seeing the difference from all the local competitors. We show up quick as we can. We order almost all of our parts are shipped next day air, so we're back within a couple days of actually troubleshooting, and they're just like, "Holy crap!" I had one customer where I sent him a text message because we're replacing a door on his walk-in, and I just sent him a text message to update him on the lead time, and he was like, "Holy crap! A service company that communicates? I didn't know those existed." I'm like, it's amazing what a 10-second text message will do for a customer, though.
Yeah, it makes a difference. That's for sure. Did you get it all figured out there, Brian? Didn't have to shoot nobody or anything?
Nah, no. DoorDash driver, wrong place.
Like, yeah, that's my food. See you later.
If I was hungry, but that would have been kind of a jerk move. So
We ordered along that topic. My wife, she orders everything delivered, like groceries. Like she don't have to leave. She don't leave. So we ordered some Costco stuff, and they said order delivered. My wife was like, no, it wasn't. And they sent a picture, and it's like someone's house a block away. So my wife had to go like Porsche pirate her own Costco order from someone else's house. It's a Costco order, so it's at least $500.
Oh yeah.
If you get out of that place without spending $500, you are on a mission, man.
Yeah.
So some of the other stuff you're working on, what makes you drawn to Turbo Chef and Mary Chef so much? I mean, I've only done a little bit here or there. I mean, I don't mind them, but I'm not comfortable because I haven't done a ton of them. But what is your attraction to them?
Simplicity. I mean, when you look at them, they look. You're like, oh my gosh. But I mean, really, it's not. There's not a lot of. There is, but there isn't a lot of moving parts.
Mhm.
Like, there's certain things, and they give you lots of information, especially Mary Chef. Like you can go in, you can do what's called a visual view. So you can go in and you can test every component in there, um, without having to take the covers off. Like today, I had a Subway call. It was thrown an error. The main control board's called SRB or Smart Relay Board,
Mhm.
and it was thrown an error that there was a conflict in it, and basically all it ended up being, I called tech support, because it was a warranty call, so we always call tech support so they have it recorded, and ended up just being a software conflict with their they have what's called PM modules. They're specific to the stores. They're just a little chip that plugs into the relay boards. Ended up being that those were um, was a software conflict, so just had to order 2 of those. But it's just real simple. Now, if you get into like those are like the E4Ss that you'll see in Subway. You have the E2Ss that you'll see in Starbucks, the little black speed ovens.
Mhm.
Um, they're they're a little bit. They're not harder to work on per se, but everything's a lot more compact. So you don't have a lot of room to move around. Plus, it's in a Starbucks, so you know
Do you get
when are
nowhere?
they not busy? But it's just the simplicity. I don't know. I know a lot of guys get freaked out because of the high voltage and stuff like that, but um, just be smart about it. Just watch what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't try to test voltage on the high voltage side. That's all I gotta
Mm-mm.
say, man.
No, that's sending you straight to heaven.
Yeah, your leads are only
Uh,
rated for 600 or 1,000 volts, not 4,500.
yeah, yeah,
I seen a guy
and
try to do that one day, dude, and I lost my shit. I was like, "Go home, get away from here."
yeah. That was the one that was doing that at the shop, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. And usually the turbo chefs and mirror chefs, they're a little bit cleaner too.
yeah. Have you noticed your Starbucks? I know it's really big at the Target Starbucks. That powdered drink mix, they mix it right next to the Turbo Chef or the Mary Chef, and it just sucks it in. And you open it up, and it's just like chocolate powder coating the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
I worked on it was an E4S from 2017 at a Honey Baked Hams. Um, and yeah, I opened that one up, but it had me scratching my head because it doesn't look like any of the other, like your Subway E4S, Icon E4S Mary Chefs. Doesn't look anything like it at all. I was like, let me call tech support about this one because I really don't know what this is doing. It was an old girl. He said, "What's the serial number again?" I gave it to him twice. He's like, "That's an old girl." I said, "Yeah." He said 2017. He said, "I haven't seen one of those in a long time."
I will warn you if I disappear. It sounds like all hell's breaking loose outside. We got some severe weather rolling in, so if I do disappear, um, sorry, just a heads up. Just heard the wind. I was like, "Holy smoke!" But yeah, the older ones are. I mean, when I first started doing this 18, 19, 20 years ago, um, did quite a bit of subway work, and it was always the same thing as they're having problems with the waveguide covers and gaskets. So you go in, you change the waveguide covers, the gaskets, and all that stuff, put them back together. But you get in there, and they're supposed to be off, and it'd be 800 degrees or whatever, just a nightmare. So, but no, we're hit or miss on them. I mean, I don't mind working on them, but you just gotta be careful because there was a guy in one of the groups on Facebook posted his hand just mangled. I don't know if you guys seen that, but he got hung up on the high voltage side. He was checking for voltage, had some issues. He got hung up on the high voltage side, dude. And his hand, I don't know what it looks like, but it's just cracked and burnt and flesh hanging out. I'm like, this is disgusting, dude. Like he's like, I'm lucky to be alive. I was like, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what is it? The secondary is
4,500.
30. Yeah, 30. Yeah, so 3,500 volts.
It just depends on the manufacturer. I think Turbo's just 4,500.
Yeah, Mary Chef's is like Mary Chef's for like 34, 35, something like that.
Mm-hmm. More than I want to get tangled up in.
Oh, yeah, for certain, for certain. Now the ones that we've been having troubles with is see the E2Ss you see at Starbucks. You have a version 1 and a V2, version 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they fixed it in version 2, but in version 1 you have your vent tube that comes out of the cavity and goes out the back, and it's like in an S shape. And because most generally the Starbucks, they run their units so close to the wall that vent tube was getting clogged up with grease really bad, and there's no way for you to go in and clean it out at all. So you're getting grease migrating back into the wave guides and into the the wave guides and into the magnetron and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Now with version 2, they went to a straight tube, so you can actually take it out and clean it, but it's nearly impossible to do with the version 1s.
That does not sound like fun.
Not at all. I'll let y'all have that.
The good thing about the ones at Starbucks, so the E2Ss, I can handle one of those by myself, and I've got one of those Vevor foldable carts. So what I'll do is if I have to dive into anything like deep, I just take it off the cart or take it off of the counter, put it on the cart, roll it over to the table, and then I can sit there and work on that thing all day in comfort.
Nice. It's a good idea. I've been thinking about getting one of those fold-up carts myself because I don't know. I'm always in places trying to get stuff out, and I don't have room. I did for a while have a big giant cart on my truck, and I realized it just took up too much real estate, and I didn't use it enough, so I quit, using it. But
well, yeah. I mean, you get what TikTok shop, you can get the Vevor ones. They're selling them for 60. When I got mine, it was 75. And I thought, I've had it since day one of starting at Reds. And I was like, man, I'll give it a shot. I don't know how well it's going to hold up, but that thing has saved my butt so many times because I can load that thing up to the top, load it, and it takes, no problems whatsoever. And when you fold it up, it only takes up, when you fold it up, it's about 4 inches wide and maybe 3.5 foot tall. Doesn't take up any space at all. Yeah, none whatsoever. So I don't lose any real estate in my van, and it's a lifesaver.
Well, I mean, I see an advertisement. Someone was talking about the Vevor tank racks, and I actually thought about buying one because it held the bottom one was the big recovery cylinder. It was a 50-pounder or 40-pounder. Then it had 2 standard tanks above it. And then above that, it had a spot for a nitrogen bottle. And then it had 2 different ones for a acetylene and oxygen tank. And I was like, dude, it was all built in. It was like $100. Like, man, I almost just bought it just to have.
I got to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know if the one that I have in my van, because I took the one I have in my van now is come out of the old van. But I would say it's probably same build quality as what the Vevors are. And the only problem I've had if I get a brand new, and you can tell it's not scratched up nitrogen tank. It likes to stick in the rack. Like it's hard to get out. But if you get one that's old and been scratched up a little bit, it slides in and out just fine.
That's good to know. Yeah, I'll find that rack and I'll get it sent over to you too. It was pretty sweet because it's right here. It's $100. I'm gonna share my screen. It's $100, dude. It looks pretty sweet actually. Share screen.
You guys seen those Posi lock pullers? That has like the triangle frame on it. I bought the Vivor version of that, and I've used both. I can't tell the difference, honestly. Really, it's like a third of the price that you pay for a Posi lock.
Dang, I wonder if Vivor did like you know that cheap brand of Tosa. They make refrigeration and cooking equipment. They used to what they used to do was because I've talked with some of the sales reps. So Atosa used to manufacture private label refrigeration and cooking equipment for like I don't want to say for Webster, but like for all those companies that have their own import lines. And then after a certain point, they decided, oh, we're just going to make it under our own label and kind of hurt everybody. I wonder if that's what Vivor did. I wonder if Vivor actually manufactured a bunch of their stuff under different labels and then said, oh, screw this. We could just make more money if we go direct to market. That's what I'm wondering now.
I
They
would
make too
say that
much
you're
stuff.
yeah, well, and that's been commonplace for a long time is you'll have one manufacturer and just everybody buys that and just rebrands it their own name. Like I remember Alibaba, you could go in and buy like a quantity of say a fishing reel, 1,000 of the fishing reel
Hmm.
for like $3 a piece. That's the same ones that you'd buy that were brand name. They just don't have the brand name on it. It's almost the same exact thing.
So I'm sure I have an image of that tank rack. It's got 3 tanks. The one I seen had a larger one on the bottom, but then it's got a nitrogen up there, and then it's got your oxygen, your acetylene, so they're all secured. Because right now I keep my nitrogen, oxygen, acetylene in freaking milk crates. So, but yeah, I thought about buying that. It's only $100. I was like, well, I could just bolt it somewhere in the van or take out one and throw it in its place.
Yeah.
That looks exactly like the one I have, almost to a T.
Nice. Yeah, the Toaster thing is kind of weird. There's a couple of companies that make units and just rebrand them a million different times. Toaster has a combi oven. There's one that lives in my shop because their main combi chef's based out of my market, and we've had a good relationship for years and years and years through different brands he's worked for. And he actually, when they make videos on their combi ovens, it's actually in my shop. So it's I've never worked on it because I think they're kind of weird. They have their own service network or whatever. It's in certain areas. I don't know how it works, so we don't do any of their work. But we just let him use our test kitchen, and he cooks and feeds everybody in the office when he's in there. But I mean, it works out all right. You come through, you smell cookies, you're like, yeah, Jeff's here.
Let me ask you guys a question because something I've even when I first started in this career, I was like this, and I don't know why, but I still have issues with schematics, and it drives me nuts. It's like, what is your guys' key to success on getting really good at reading schematics? Because I struggle with it. I don't care if it's a simple one or it's not. I just struggle with it. I'm not afraid to admit it either. It's just.
Have you done?
I suck at schematics, to be completely honest with you.
Oh yeah.
I completely suck. I am trash when it comes to schematics. Um, first of all, I'm dyslexic, so imagine that. Then I think I also have partially this thing called Erland syndrome, which is like words and images disappear off of what you're reading, and you like legit don't see them. So that alone makes schematics a nightmare for me, and then I just have a lack of patience. So yeah, I still suck at schematics. The most I could do is identify components and then try to trace the lines back. But like to actually read a schematic, nope, that ain't me. I'm
I
not that
can't
smart.
read it. I use like a precision screwdriver, and I like to follow the wires because
That's what I do with the lead from my meter. That's what I do.
Not in collar, man. You just kind of lose them. You know, I used to be scared of like rationale and Combotherm, like their schematics, like multiple pages, but then like I actually like it now because you can go to that page for that component and like it tells you where that wire goes. Like you can just go to that page and look. Okay, it goes here. It's pretty sweet. It sucks because it's like 20 pages, but everything's real big and blown up. And it's like each individual component. So it's not bad once you figure those out, but yeah, some standard schematics just drive me nuts, man.
Yeah, I think the main thing is learn the components and learn how the components themselves operate. And then I guess for me, that's just a workaround of sucking with schematics.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I really struggle with, and I have since day one. And I don't know, maybe someday it'll just click in my head and I'll be like, oh, I have that aha moment. But it's like I look at a schematic and I'm like, oh, this is small, this shouldn't be bad. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, where am I at? What am I doing? Like what day? You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know.
I like it when there's a schematic on a panel and it doesn't match the unit.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, why? Like some of these foreign Chinese rebranded refrigerators are famous for it. It's like the same schematic you put on all of them. Like,
bro, forget foreign. Me and a coworker when I was still at Whaley, we did a walk-in install, and we could not get, like, there was something wrong with the wiring. We could not figure it out. We matched up the wiring to the way it was in the evaporator and compared it with the condensing unit. We did everything we were supposed to do. So finally, he's like, yo, I don't know what's going on. He calls the manufacturer, starts going over the wiring, and the manufacturer's like, no, that based on the model number, that's wrong. It's wired wrong. He's like, it's wired according to this schematic. Tech support tells him, you can't trust our schematics. Sometimes we put the wrong ones in there. And this was after he was on hold. I want to say, no exaggeration, it was either 2 or 3 hours. He was on hold to finally get through to tech support.
You can't trust the schematics. I'd have
Yep.
I did get to work on my first water-cooled Follette, and at first I was like, I don't like this thing, but I like it now. I really like it. It was having other issues than pressures, but the pressures just looked off to me. And I'd called tech to support to get the correct part numbers, because I don't think this unit had ever been cleaned. Like it had a 1/4 of an inch of scale on the water level probes in the back. And yeah, anyways, I was asking him what should you see as far as saturation. He said, well, we go more off pressure than saturation. And I'm like, thinking to myself, okay, this is one of those guys. But because I go off straight saturation, but he told me, and I said, so with the pressures where I'm sitting at right now, I'm running too high of a head pressure. I said, I've never messed with a water cooled system before, but I said, I should be able to change the water regulator, and that will drop my pressures, because that'll just, water is this unit's air. And he's like, yeah, it was cool to sit there and watch my gauges, and as I increased the water pressure, it was like almost instantaneous. You could watch your pressures just line right out. And I was like, yeah, that's not bad. They still use a crap ton of water though, but
yeah, water cooled systems are cool. But yeah, they can you burn through a lot of water, and then when something goes wrong, generally it's catastrophic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that manager of that Chick-fil-A that I was at, that I had the water cooled Follette. She was asking me about the water. She said, this thing acts like it goes through a lot of water. And I said, it will, ma'am. And she said, really? I said, yeah. I said, it's not air cooled, it's a water cooled system. And I showed her the coaxial tube. And I said, you know, on some of the units, you'll see the fins. And she says, yeah. So that's the condenser. It's moving air across that. I said, this unit's different. It moves air or moves water across the coil. I said, you got water line and refrigerant line that they're separated but are in the same bundle together. And I said, you're going to go through water. I said, I don't know why they sold you guys or sold them on that. I said, because you're the only Chick-fil-A I've ever been in that I've seen that has a water cool system. But I said, they're not bad, except when they go bad, and then it's usually bad.
Oh,
yeah, if that coil fails, you're done.
It's everything. Yep. Just get a new machine at that point.
We had a hospital. We built a hospital like 10, 12 years ago here, and all the refrigeration was water cooled, and it was all on a chiller loop. So it was a closed loop system, so it didn't really, it didn't waste the water. It just got recirculated through, but all that stuff was a pain to work on. And then they'd go down and like, I got, my water's not cold coming here. Well, yeah, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. There'd be a problem in the system somewhere. And then, I'm trying to argue with the building guys, and the building guys said, there's nothing wrong with our stuff. And just, it was a pain in the butt.
Did you ever find out if the glycol system was supposed to have check valves in it, Pat?
No, I asked the manufacturer, and he goes, no. He said, and this guy, he was like, it needs something. I was like, well, yeah. He said, how long are the lines? I said, I have no idea, dude. This is a casino. And they said they've got one keg cooler, and they're pumping this stuff clear across this casino. He's like, well, the pump should hold it from coming back. I said, the problem ain't the pump. I said, it's all running out the drain side, return side. I said, the pump's holding it. I said, but it's just all gravity back feeding through the return side and just dumping everywhere. They couldn't give me an answer. I actually had to go back last weekend, and someone else had worked on that unit, so the pressures were really weird. It's got a fixed expansion valve, so you just set to whatever psi. Set for 15, and I couldn't get it below like 35. I put a little gas in to see what it would do, and it wouldn't change. And my high side was low too, which kind of threw me. So I went back with some glycol because it didn't have a real good load on it because I dumped so much glycol out of it. I was worried about that, so I went back, and I ended up, as a 16-ounce system, I ended up pulling like 3 pounds out of this thing. So someone else had already worked on it and dumped like 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of gas in this thing. So I pulled it all out, and because I was going to change that expansion valve, and I pulled it all out, charged it up, and it was running 15 psi, and I forget what the head pressure was. It was perfect. It was cool and like great. I'm like, who dumped all this refrigerant in here? And no one could answer me, but it is what it is. It's amazing what happens if you charge that little data tag on the side.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know when we were at Coke, anytime we ran over 30 feet, we were required to put a check valve in. Because, yeah, the pumps will hold it, but those pumps, every time they kick on without a check valve in line, they're pushing like 3 times the amount of force that they need to. I would assume that it's just going to tear those impellers up on that pump eventually.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was not happy. I was glad I didn't have to change that valve. I mean, literally at that point, though, by the time I pulled out the refrigerant out and pulled a vacuum, I could have changed the valve in there 10 minutes in the filter dryer at that point. But I just started pulling gas out of it, and I realized how overcharged it was. I turned it back on. It was running, but I was like, well, I don't know how much gas is in here. So I just pulled it all out and pulled a vacuum, recharged it, and went about business. But
when in doubt, pull it out.
Pretty much. So you got any training coming up? I know you did Safesa a couple months back. You got to hang out with the dog I seen.
Oh, Bruno, I love that pup.
Olivia, her and her dog are hilarious, man.
Yeah, it was funny. The first day I was there, he come over. I'm a dog person, anyways, and dogs can sense that. And he come up, and he's just like sniffing around, and next thing I know, he's like up in my lap. And Olivia was like, Bruno, and I'm like, oh, he's fine. He can sit here all class if he wants to. Yeah, that was a blast. I love her and what was the trainer? Dan. That guy's a trip. I mean, he's an absolute trip. I love that man to death. But the only thing that drove me nuts is some of the guys kind of figured this out in class. It's kind of easy to get Dan sidetracked.
Oh yeah, he's a talker, man. He'll call me
Yeah,
one question, like 2 hours later, he's like, "Hey, I gotta get off the phone." I'm like, "Dude, you called for one question. It's been 2 hours, man. What's up?"
yeah, yeah. It was a good time. I learned a lot. Uh, it did get me more comfortable with reading schematics, like because I don't know if you've been or know the ESGW, like what they teach there
A
as
little
far
bit.
as yeah, um, like that in the class, he had us do a wire up. There's like three different schematics, which I did those and I didn't miss a thing on them. Sorry, it made me a little bit more comfortable. I was kind of hoping I'd be a little bit more comfortable than I am now, but it'll come in due time. But yeah, that was a good class. I don't have any scheduled trainings coming up right now. Well, I think I've got an online class for Turbo Chef coming up, and then we're on Henny Penny's their online training. I'm doing Henny Penny online training and Frymaster online training, stuff like that. We were supposed to go to a class in February, but then for Frymaster somewhere in Ohio, but then we ended up doing it online. So still working on that.
Do you do much combi work or none at all?
Well, I've only done a couple combis. We have an Outback. We've done that had an Unox.
Sounds like
Um,
yeah,
huh?
sounds like my day today.
Yeah, yeah. This another company had been working on it, and they had it all jacked up. I didn't really get to do a whole lot with it, where the other guys did, but I did get to mess with it. Um, the Convitherm at Chili's. I've not dived into like the heating components and all that stuff. That was a one. What was it back in November where I had to change out the drain pump because somebody had stuck a dish towel down in the drain and it got sucked up into the pump and pretty much fried the pump. It wasn't too bad. It was a Chili's, so that drain you got to just use your imagination. That drain had been backed up and not working for probably about a week and a half.
Ooh.
And then, yeah. And then whenever I pulled that rag out, it let everything that was in the drain pan or drain canister underneath there out. Yeah, it did not smell very good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
No,
I think I went through half a can of Lysol on my bag and my tools just to get rid of that smell.
it doesn't come off, dude. It's like embedded in your skin, man. It's like working on a cooler. Like it's something about some reach-in coolers, like you can't get that smell out of it, and it's like stuck in your skin, your clothes, your nose.
Especially
I,
saw cabinets.
Yeah,
I smelt that literally a week. That smell, what that stinky, smoky kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Pungent. It was in my nose for a week. It was awful. I told myself if I ever have to go back and work on that again, I'm gonna get some Vicks vapor rub and just put it underneath my nose right here so that I smell that instead of
that's what I
that
was gonna
drain
say.
smell.
Vix's,
Oh, it's
man. I worked on an Outback Unox today, and they've actually. Jason will be mad at me for saying names. We're not supposed to say names to Jason, so we'll quit the names and everything else. He'll get on me, but we'll be all right. But they actually are upgrading their vents now for those ovens underneath the Unoxes. It actually goes up like past the top of the Unox, and it's huge. It's like a 2x2 square, and it's shallower, so you can just push the oven back underneath it. I was kind of surprised. I think I sent Rich those pictures. Did you see those pictures I sent today?
Yeah, I saw.
Like I was like, it's kind of nice. I mean, I think the only way they're really going to combat that is to put like a powered fan on top of there to kind of create a draft to suck it through a little bit more. But they're at least trying to save those ovens, man, because those ovens do not like heat on that backside.
No.
well, and the one that's up here in our area, not the local one, but the one in Morgantown, which is just like 35 minutes away. It's sitting on top of a South Bend oven,
Oh, they all do.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like
It destroys them. The last time I did a warranty call for one of them, I forget what they sent me. I think they sent me the washboard, but it had multiple other things. And when I call them up, I'm like, yeah, so you sent me the washboard, but we need the steam solenoid, we need the fuse, we need something else. Like I rattled off 3 parts to him. He's like, oh yeah, as soon as I saw that you were at an Outback, I pulled up all those part numbers. Here you go. I'm like, why didn't y'all just send them to me to begin with? But yeah.
Yeah, that was what I had. So someone else had been there and made the manager mad, and they requested a different text. So I got stuck with this. I went out with the washboard. I was like, cool, I'll put a washboard in there, be good to go. Well, I opened it up, I'm like, the washboard doesn't have the steam solenoid. I'm like, the steam solenoid just melted down. I'm like, this is great. So I had to go back today. I went back today and I put the steam solenoid in it and I fired it. I turned the water on. I'm like, I'm spraying water everywhere. And one of the quick connects on the washboard had no O-ring in it.
That's nice.
So I had to go to the hardware store and like buy this like stupid expensive O-ring multi-pack because I couldn't buy individuals, and go back and put an O-ring on there and fixed it. I was like, I'm not ordering a new washboard or an O-ring. So yeah, I got taken care of. Luckily, it went through and everything ran fine. But just like, get your shit together, people.
And maybe if our friend who works at Unox watches this episode, maybe he could tell us why they send the washboard and they don't include the steam solenoid, even though it seems to always need to be changed
It's always
at the same time.
It's always the steam solenoid. I've never seen anything go wrong with the washboard. It's always the steam solenoid, and people think you can just order it all at once, and it's always wrong. My personal experience, anyways. So
yeah.
All right, man. Well, we are coming up on over an hour. I really appreciate Bryan coming on and talking. We could talk with Bryan all night. We're just talking shop and having fun. But Bryan, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at so they can follow your content and see what you're up to on a daily basis.
All right, yeah. Same as before. My mainstay is usually Instagram. My handle there is 304 underscore HVACR underscore. I am on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Both Facebook and LinkedIn. Just search as you see my name spelt on the screen there. And if you're not friends with me, send me a friend request. If I know you or you look like you're interesting, I'll follow you. But yeah, usually Instagram. I'm there about 90% of the time, about 8% of the time on LinkedIn, and then I will shoot in and out on Facebook every once in a while, just kind of trolling more than anything else.
And I'll tag all his social medias and stuff on the show description when it comes out in podcast format. But I appreciate you taking time to come on and chat. I'm excited to see you grow. I know it's been 8 months and you've learned a ton, and you're a sick individual for liking Turbo Chef and Mary Chef. We won't hold that against you. I'm glad you found a home in the commercial kitchen environment. It's a fun place to be in, man. Lots of variety, lots to do, and lots to learn. So it always works out pretty well, I think, for people.
Yeah, and I really enjoy taking care of my customers. I've got a pretty good rapport with them. Had several of them say they're happy to see me, so that makes my day whenever that happens.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is building those relationships with my customers. I'll see them out in public, and I'm like trying to figure out where I know them from, what restaurant, or they'll come up and talk to me in public. If I'm like at the hardware store or something, not in work clothes. And it's always cool just to realize, that you are making a difference in these people's lives. You may work for a bigger company, you may work for a smaller company, but in the end, it's just you taking care of your customers.
Yep.
And big shout out to Jared and Matt. Matt may be watching at Red LLC. Thank you guys for the opportunity. I enjoy working with you guys and make us a long-term relationship.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Yeah, I'll take it easy.